Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's December 30th, and right now, if you look closely, you can see the main low pressure center here off the coast of British Columbia here, keeping us in an onshore flow. No Arctic air to speak of, but still some winter driving conditions here for the higher terrain of Washington, Idaho, Montana, and British Columbia. But look at some of these temperatures along the Oregon, Washington coast, getting up into the 50s, Willamette Valley as well. Some relatively warm conditions here across the Puget Sound area also. And now taking a look at things a little bit closer here, we see the cocoa rods. This is the last 5 to 6 days. Any red dot you see on there is over 7 inches. Any yellow dot is over 4 inches. You can see plenty of precipitation that has occurred across southwest BC, Washington, Oregon coast here. And what I'm trying to hint at here is that we are increased risk of landslides. So you might want to watch out for that, especially along the Oregon, Washington coast, where some of these communities are really affected by road closures. Heads up for that potential here. And hopefully we can get a little bit of a precipitation break for the next few days before we start to bring more systems here into the Pacific Northwest. If we zoom in a little bit here, you can see some of these totals out towards Aberdeen, the Washington coast, big totals through the Puget Sound as well, some of Kitsap Peninsula. Down the Oregon coast, some pretty big amounts as well. Portland Metro down through Willamette Valley also. So just a heads up for that concern across the area. This is the storm a couple days ago here, and I wanted to point this out that we did get some pretty big gusts along the Oregon coast. You can see 80 plus, 70 plus for several areas. Rockhouse down there, and I think Portland gusted 48. Yeah, there it is there. But you can see Happy Valley 55, McMinnville 61. So not a bad storm out there. Just pointing out some of the wind speeds across some of the Oregon area. This is tonight through Friday. You know, some snow does continue across the Cascade Passes here, so have travel plans. Just a heads up. Nothing unlike what we're used to here. Nice graphic here from Pendleton, Oregon National Weather Service. We put this into motion. This is the NAM hot off the press at the 12Z, and you can see the precipitation generally ending, the bulk of it starting to slide down through southern Oregon into northern California, just kind of onshore light precipitation amounts for Washington and BC in the meantime. You see we dry out a little bit as we go through this weekend here before we're going to bring some systems in as we go through next week. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. But this precipitation forecast here, and they do talk about the high snow levels down here across southwest Oregon here, and there's been a lot of precip on the Oregon coast there, and this is going to shift down towards California here, at least for the next few days. But you can see some big precipitation amounts, quick rises in small creeks are possible, and there are, still the burn scar concerns out there, and there is the landslide concern as well. So heads up, folks. This is atmospheric river concerns moving down into California. You're probably going to be hearing a lot about this over the next week or two, as California is going to get battered with storms, some potentially strong. Hopefully it falls as snow across a lot of the Sierra Nevada. But we're going to be looking at potential flooding all the way down through Southern California here as these storms continue to batter California here for the next week or two. This is down through Los Angeles here, and you can see any kind of rain that falls down there is a big deal, so you may be hearing about this as well. But, watch out for your friends down there in Southern California, or if you are traveling, storms are on the way down there. Now, taking a look at a wider view, look at things here, you can see the European here is on the left, the GFS is on the right, 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. This is general trough and ridge position. You can see the system impacting us currently across Pacific Northwest, and you can see the next storm start to move down through California here. And we get a bit of a break here, like I said, this weekend, but then another system arrives for the West Coast, kind of leaving us in an open trough here across the West Coast. GFS is in agreement there. The Gulf of Alaska troughing is going to remain active here. In fact, let's bounce back out to last night's run here, and we'll go ahead and do the GFS there as well, and we'll continue to go out here a little bit further. And you can see we really get no let up here across the west coast of North America, with systems continuing to move in. Pretty good model agreement between the GFS, just a little bit of timing differences there between the Euro and the GFS, but you can see these systems just continue to roll through all the way through the 10-day period. And even at the end of the 10-day period, there's more action out here across the Pacific Ocean heading our way and down into California as well. Now this is looking at 10-day precipitation anomaly. Look at some of California's pegged off scale here, with some anomalies well over 8 to 10 inches here, all the way down through Southern California here. And we could actually probably use this break here to ease some of the landslide concerns across the area, but still the Oregon coast looks like it's still going to be a bit above average for the next 10-day period, as well as some of Vancouver Island also here. But some of the Cascades of Washington, Oregon might get a break here. But California is really going to get hammered here in the next 10 days. This is total precipitation precipitation in inches. And just because we're in a deficit here in the Pacific Northwest, or at least portions of Washington State and Oregon Cascades, doesn't mean we're not still getting precipitation. But you can clearly see those amounts build up through the coastal range of California, Sierra Nevada, and you can still see that precip's still building up across portions of Oregon, Washington as well. So hopefully it doesn't exacerbate our landslide concerns up here. But you can see as we go on in through the rest of the 90-hour period here shown on last night's European run, you can see the pretty good precipitation amounts just coming over the next 4 days for California shown here. Now taking a look at here, precipitable water, you'll clearly see the atmospheric rivers moving and flowing around the region here as they take aim at California here as we go through Friday night into Saturday morning shown here, moving all the way down through Southern California before the next one arrives after a brief break. A system moves through us here in Washington, Oregon. We see another atmospheric river for California, then another system quickly on the heels of that moving up towards Washington State. You can see the low pressure center here, atmospheric river again diving down through California, then another system, and then yet another system here as we go into the following weekend. And you see at the end of the 10-day forecast here, more atmospheric river activity moving towards Pacific Northwest and California shown here. So active time coming up here, folks. You're probably going to hear a lot about this weather impacting California, which tends to be the problem down there. When they get their precip, they tend to get it all at once, and then it causes problems, even though they are an extreme precipitation deficit. Now, looking here, this is the actual, we're looking at precipitation type here. You can see snow in the higher terrain here across some of Oregon, and California as it slides south all the way down through the Sierra Nevada into Southern California there. We get our break here this weekend, but then another system arrives here as we go through Monday. You can see that drive down through California. Then a big, deep, low pressure system forms off our coastline here. It's going to spread another system here across much of BC, Washington, Oregon. This is going to impact areas all the way from British Columbia all the way down to Baja, Mexico down there. And you can see additional systems continue to move into the area here. So we're going to remain active. There's actually some windstorm potential for us here as we go through the 10-day period as well. We'll continue to watch that to see if anything trends stronger at this point. Now, looking at 6 to 10-day precipitation outlook, you can clearly see the bullseye California here, but it still does show us above average here across Pacific Northwest here. So we're going to have to watch this as we go through the 10-day period and the 2-week period clearly shown here. This one goes out through January 12th shown. This is for risk of heavy precipitation all the way out to the 12th. You can see the moderate for California. We're still under the slight risk here for Washington, Oregon. This would include British Columbia also. This would be a slight risk for moderate snow, actually a moderate risk for heavy snow across the Sierra Nevadas here. And of course, the Cascades, Washington, Oregon would extend into British Columbia as well. So this goes through January 12th shown here. And this is watching out for windstorm potential as well. This goes through January 12th. Also, you can see the moderate concern for Oregon coast down through California, but still slight much of the west coast. Now, this is a cumulative landslide potential here, and you can see that Everett, Payne Field actually above the threshold here. Once you get above this red line here in duration and amount of precipitation you're getting, you can start to set yourself up for some landslides, usually pretty localized here, but this would go double for places along the Washington and Oregon coast, some of the Cascade areas too. Some of those communities can be, dramatically impacted here when you get landslides across the region here. So heads up for that and have alternate travel plans and just be prepared for that risk. And again, I'll look at this one more time, the Coco Ross map here. We had a lot of precipitation across the west coast here the last 5-6 days. So heads up for that potential out there. You see a lot of those small little landslides occur when you drive out to the coastline here, as I did a few days ago. And you can kind of see how a lot of these communities get cut off. There's a pretty big detour down there on Highway 109 for some of Washington out towards Ocean Shores here. Some of those detours can be, they can really impact the community out there as roads are limited. But anyway, yeah, we're going to remain active here as we go on in through the extended forecast here as well. No sign for any Arctic air, no big windstorm imminent right now, but that can change really rapidly. And some places got some pretty blustery winds yesterday. There were some power outages as well, gusted 38 miles per hour here at my house. So we'll continue to watch for those storms coming up here. We'll watch to see how much precipitation we're going to get, how that landslide potential trends. And yeah, thanks to all my new subscribers and members. Took the day off yesterday. I was feeling a little bit under the weather, but anyway, I'm back at it, and we'll do this again tomorrow. We'll continue to watch for any kind of changes in the forecast coming up here, but it looks like we're going to remain active. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.